So Picus actually is the if you're a Montrealer or you know a little bit about Canada.
You don't know what Picus is.
No, but you know what the Olympic Stadium is. and actually, like, it's the actual real design of the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, we did some modifications, but
No, but for the exterior view is quite
it's quite
accurate.
there, exactly. And actually, originally, there was Montreal was playing a bigger part in
we
the
planned
game.
to actually explore a certain area of Montreal called the Plateau.
Yeah.
And we wanted to actually originally put the hacker in Montreal.
Yeah, Van Bruggen.
Van Bruggen, but he wasn't Van Bruggen at
No,
the time.
he was a kid.
was a young kid that was working with a group of hackers all in Montreal. And it would all take place in this part of the city that's a really nice old
It was a
plateau
house.
area, and it was supposed to be a house and all
And the
that.
parents were away, and the kid was alone, and you were getting to meet him, and now the spec ops were surrounding
slowly
the
coming in and trapping you in there, and it was a big trap to rescue him and get him out. But we ended up having to cut that, and instead we stuck with the Olympic Stadium, which has quite a history here in Montreal as well.
Yeah, the Expos used to play play there. Now they're the Washington's Nationals.
Yes.
Washington's Nationals, yes.
Yes, and there's been a lot of controversy in the city as to what the history of this will be, what will end up happening with Montreal. So we decided that in 2027 it would have been sold and become the corporate headquarters of the world's biggest broadcasting center, kind of going off of the idea that Montreal is becoming a very big city that's very big in technology and in entertainment, such as video games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how we ended up with the Olympic Stadium.
And if you remember, a lot of people actually think that the City Hub was made and that we ended up cutting it out at the game. But that's not true. We never actually got to the point where the City Hub was made. It was cut way before that.
No, we had a concept art that was referring to Montreal downtown. And after that, the farthest we went...
We had made a few in-game
demo.
tests. Like, it was more like
yeah.
a tech demo, but the City
But
Hub
for the
itself
modules,
was,
for the buildings and
nah,
stuff like that,
was
yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
Vital oil reserves. This is Eliza. Reporting to you live.
Jensen, something's not right. Picus is a 24-hour global news network. Why isn't anyone answering their phones?
I'll get back to you on that.
So I mentioned already that, we're coming into the headquarters of one of the world's biggest news broadcasting, and it was kind of fun for us to come up with the name for Picus. We wanted something that tied into Greek mythology or Roman mythology. I
What does
can't
it mean
remember
again?
which one. And actually, Picus is a god. He's a one of the lower gods, and he's associated with Ares, the god of war. But his particular specialty is he is the god of manure.
Of manure.
Of manure.
I remember this
otherwise
was
known
like
as
manipulation or
bullshit.
something.
No,
This manure,
but
yeah.
manure is bullshit, and we figured that a corporation that's manipulating news,
How great is that?
and for the sake of the Illuminati, who are trying to cultivate that war kind of thing, he would be perfect. So that's where the name Picus comes from.
That is awesome.
So we've got tons and tons of emails throughout Picus, and what was real fun about these ones is, first of all, I basically assigned the entire thing to Jean-Francois Champagne, one of our narrative designers on the game, and he really, really had a lot of fun with it. And I think a lot of the emails that you'll read are actually based on similar things to what actually happens here in Eidos Montreal.
Real situations in the studio.
Real situations in the studio, and they're all slightly twisted and slightly hidden to some of the human resource type stuff that goes on here. And the other thing that's really cool about them is because Picus is in Montreal, and Montreal is French Canadian, and it's a bilingual city. We really wanted to have French emails in here.
The only thing that with that, I mentioned in the Hengsha, like I want to have the players to feel the flavor of the place by being exposed to the local language. I do feel that we could have gone a little bit farther with the French emails, because even though it's bilingual city, it's mostly a French speaking city. So I thought that we were a little bit too conservative. We should have pushed it more. But in the end, the ones who are there, it's kind of cool for the French Canadians out there.
And it should have been more than the email, like the signs and everything.
Exactly.
Like there's a few French things, but it should have been pushed quite a bit more.
Yeah.
And the other thing we tried to really get across here is the sense that because you're coming into this and it's supposed to be a 24-hour news broadcast center, there should be people in here, and yet there aren't. And the reason they aren't is, of course, because a trap has been laid for Adam Jensen. And so one of the things that was important was to really show that people had left in a hurry.
And that didn't work out too well.
No, I mean, you
think
get
it
the
did.
sense,
You get
but
a sense of it.
it could have pushed a little bit more.
Well, basically, the sense is just coffee cups that are turned over everywhere. And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, we wanted to push it a bit more than that. But, yeah, whatever. It's, I guess it's there, yeah.
So now we're getting close to Eliza's room, 404, and eventually, as you move through the facility, you'll go to the room 802.11. And when Mary came to me with that proposal and everything, at first I was kind of reluctant because I felt it was a little bit too much.
Well,
too on the nose.
But people might not realize. I mean, Eliza is, of course, named after the first AI that was somewhat showing signs of intelligence, and that's why we wanted that name. And 404 is a failure, an internet failure, a warning message that says file not found. And so we kind of found that to be good. And then, of course, the room 802.11 is the universal wireless transmission. And so I really wanted to tie all that in as subtle hints about the truth of Eliza.
But to me, it was that, like, I was like, oh, is it too on the nose? But I thought, like, because we work in the computer industry and everything, and we're more familiar with all those things, for us, it's a little bit, it's obvious. But for
me, I knew about the 404, the other one, I didn't know what it was.
But for most people that are not into these things and everything, it's like, they don't know those things. So in the end, I thought it was a really good idea, even though maybe for the more, I would say, computer savvy people, it was like, it's so obvious. Yeah.
And I figured for computer savvy it would be obvious and little chuckle, and other people might learn something by us talking about it.
And even if they do think that's what it is, they still don't have a firm answer at that point.
Absolutely.
So it's not the end of the world.
So again, another wonderful cutscene. I really enjoyed this one, and I think I really enjoy it because I really love the character of Eliza and what we wanted to achieve with her. And I think we got really lucky with the voice actress on this one.
Yeah, we had the lovely and talented Kim Bubbs. She was fantastic, and I remember when we were doing the casting, we definitely wanted a bit of that sort of childlike innocence, sort of naivete, almost like becoming self-aware. And for me, when I heard her voice, just when I heard her read through the lines, I knew right away, I was like, God, I hope Mary likes her the way I like her, because she's fantastic. And it really, for me, there was a certain purity and innocence in her voice and the way she spoke that
It had just enough of an eerie quality to it, and
eerie
yet
AI
still
feel to
sounded
it.
young. And it was real fun too, because like in writing the dialogues, I really wanted to make sure that she never used contractions, and so I was very careful about that. And unfortunately, during one of the news broadcasts, I couldn't be in the studio, and they let her get a contraction in, and I was so mad when I found out. But what can you do?
Jensen, get out of there now!
Tell me you saw that, Pritchard.
Later! Right now, I'm detecting multiple radio signals converging on your location. It's a trap!
We knew that. And I'm not leaving without Eliza Kazan. So find her while I look for a way to get downstairs.
.404 is clear, but he couldn't have gotten far. Don't be too sure. This guy's good. Well, if he's in here somewhere, he must be scared. I'm sure he didn't expect to see this much firepower.
Yeah. Just let me catch that little snake. He'll quickly realize he's playing with the big boys now.
Or the big girls, if she gets a hold of him. You, get on the upper catwalk and take the sniper. Who's there? Crawling around here somewhere. Let's get you some minutes. You, I want you to secure that angle over there.
So-called legal northern government in exile. The situation had reached a bloody standstill when a fully augmented unit from Bell Tower Associates moved in.
How's it on your side? Looking good.
The city of Canberra saw intense fighting today. Australia's 12th Commando Regiment attempted to oust a group of Free States insurgents from the south.
I heard something. I'm gonna go check on it.
Pritchard, have you found Eliza Kazan yet?
Possibly. Back in room 404, I detected a holo processing cloud more sophisticated than anything I've ever seen. It was sent from an area of the complex that wasn't showing up on the 3D layout.
You found a secret lair.
A sub-basement level that somebody spent an awful lot of time trying to conceal. It's connected to the tower by a funicular. Look for a staircase in the back of the TV newsroom and you'll reach it.